And now, it's time for MsWeedWiki Speaks. You're listening to MsWeedWiki, and I'm here today with Miss Trish of the amazing website I personally consider a love letter to self-love. It's called www.allthingsmisstrish.com. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. You actually brought tears to my eyes by saying that. Whoa, I was not expecting that one. Jeez Louise, thank you. That's awesome. Oh my God. Okay. I worked hard on my website, so that really feels good. Thank you, Kadisha. That's so awesome. Wow.
I could tell looking at it. There's a lot of care put into it. So I figure first impressions, if that's what you want to visit, I definitely felt it. And also, I should point out, I believe you design t-shirts, right?
I do. I totally do. One of my favorite things that I started doing this year. Oh my God, the best thing.
Our listeners need to check our Instagram page, because I believe one of your t-shirts are featured on one of our Bud Sisters of the Week.
Absolutely.
The melanated one, I believe.
That's right. It totally is. It says melanin on it, that dark splash of magic that makes people of color extremely exquisite. That's what the shirt says.
Listen, it's a beautiful shirt on a beautiful model, and the way everything was captured, I got to give you props for it. So.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot. You are really making me tear up here. I wasn't expecting that much. Whoa. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you for talking with us today. Could you tell our listeners where you're joining us from?
I am joining you from Montreal, Canada. Cold out here. Your hometown, but Montreal.
Indeed.
Montreal, Canada, for sure. That's where I'm from.
It's also, for full disclosure, where I'm born and raised. I lived there for the first 21 years of my life as well.
Nice. And you know what's so good? I actually lived in Toronto for 10 years of my life as well. So Toronto's a second home to me. I totally want to move back, when the time is right. But yeah, Toronto's a second home for me. I know it like the back of my hand, and I miss it every day too.
Well, so then you probably enjoy the best of both worlds. I
do. I'm very lucky when I visit, and I'm also very lucky when I leave, because home is where the heart is and where my bed is. So
that makes perfect sense.
It definitely is best of both worlds for sure.
Well, I met, just to tell our listeners, I met Trish through our Afro-Canada Bud Sisters group, which is a group normalizing cannabis use for Black women across Canada. And in that light, I was wondering, could you tell our listeners a bit about what stands out the most to you about your journey in cannabis?
So recently, I discovered that I suffer from anxiety. And when things happen, I literally get a heart pain, a heartache. Absolutely. So, and I was having trouble sleeping with my anxiety attacks. However, I'm not a smoker. I don't smoke cannabis. I actually have to have it within something. So throughout the summertime, when I was suffering from the anxiety attacks, one of our Bud sisters, who was really she's really good, Karen, shout out to Karen, you know what I'm saying? So Karen basically helped me out with what I would need. Oh, there's another Bud sister, which is Sabrina. She's great as well. So those ladies helped me out with my journey in what I can take to make me fall asleep. And Sabrina was very helpful with the cannabis oil, THC. And then after Karen introduced me to, it was almost like another liquid. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it helped me fall asleep and calm me down. And then I also have another work colleague from my previous job who actually bought me chocolates, indica chocolates, which actually assisted me so much. So I don't take them often, but when I realize I can't sleep or when I'm coming up with an anxiety attack, I'll take a little bit of THC oil, or I'll cook with it, or I'll put it within something that I have to just make it all smooth and calm me down and make me feel a little bit better, So it's been very helpful. I cannot say anything bad about it. I've been able to sleep longer as well, because I'm a person who sleeps 4 hours, 5 hours, but when I actually include that in my meals or in my breakfast or in my drinks or anything of that nature, it makes me sleep for much longer and peacefully. I don't toss and turn. I don't get up to use the washroom, because that's a habit of mine, So I sleep really well when I actually take those things. So I love it. I really love it. I'm happy it's helpful and I don't have to rely on sleep aids from the pharmacy or anything from my doctor from the farm. You know what I mean? I'm very happy that something natural could actually assist me in my rest, because I need rest to work like everybody else, you know?
And that's exactly, you know, what so many people in our group, they discuss. And I'm so glad that, you know, and I'm grateful for you sharing about your struggles with anxiety, because that is definitely one of the recurring themes I've been hearing with every conversation, especially, you know, with the majority of my guests to date being Black women. You know, 2020 has been putting us through it.
Oh my.
Put it mildly.
Absolutely. And what's happening too is like 2020 is like the year I find of 2020 vision. So we are also coming to grips with a lot of things between ourselves and other people. And once that happens, that can also bring you anxiety, because you're facing the truth of things that, you know, you've overlooked because you've been working a 9-to-5 forever and having 2 jobs and taking care of your children and doing different things in one. Now 2020 is giving us the chance to relax and actually face what's going on, which is causing a lot of the anxiety. Do you know what I mean? So to have that outlet to go to once we're facing these things again, you know, it's really good, really great.
And you touched on something too with the nature of how anxiety manifests itself this year, because with that 2020 clarity, once you know something, you have to do something about it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Like either you got to change what you don't like about it, or you know, you have to make adjustments. With the clarity comes the need to decide something, because even the act of not doing anything is a decision.
That's it, right? So a decision is a decision, and sometimes they're really hard decisions to make, and it could bring you again back to that stress level, because you have to not do what you normally are used to do, you know? So we also had to change a lot of our habits in 2020 as well, which is also, it's almost like you're stepping into a blind zone, you know, and that can bring another form of anxiety as well. So we faced a lot this year, we really did, especially with a lot of the deaths that are happening and just the rise of the numbers in the pandemic, everything that we're seeing, it does bring anxiety. As much as people say that, oh, I'm not worried about it, or whatever the case may be, we are living on a day-to-day basis. We don't know what's going to happen next, you know? So that, again, stress and anxiety once more.
Yeah, and 2020 on top of it, add to the pandemic, the stakes feel higher, yes, because of the pandemic, but I don't know about you, but I continue to wait for the other shoe to drop. I still think we're, you know, one other incident away from another George Floyd incident. And, you know, I worry about, you know, the momentum dropping with that.
Yes.
And yet the toll that it puts on everybody that does that frontline community activism work in the protest.
Right. Absolutely. It's scary. And you're right. I'm waiting for that too. And, you know, when that whole George Floyd situation happened, I don't know about you, but it feels like half of the pandemic problems went just kind of silent for a bit, because we were fighting so hard for justice, you know? And it's just like, okay, so now we know this change needs to happen. But then after the pandemic came and swept it right back under the rug. And I'm just like, no, we still need to keep on talking about this. Breonna Taylor happened after that. Like there's so many people that happened after that. And it's just like, we just stopped because of the pandemic, and it sucks. We still have to keep on fighting. And I really feel like we don't have to wait until someone passes away for us to fight, you know, like that's the problem too. Yes, the pandemic opened our eyes, but we should still be fighting regardless, every single day, you know.
I agree. But fighting takes effort, and you gotta fight smart, because we don't have unlimited resources in terms of the emotional labor that goes into it.
Right, that's true. You definitely have to fight smart. I do agree with that 100%, because I also do believe too that rioting doesn't help. Protests help.
Yes.
Rioting dangerously? No, because that's going to be like, well, told you, that's what Black people do. Do you know what I mean? Give them something else to talk about. If we can bring this peacefully to whoever is in charge, Congress, wherever we can, we would, I'm telling you, great strides. But I do believe sometimes that they do ignore it because of the violence that happens. You know, and I'm not saying it's always melanated people, because it's not. Yeah, as we know, the media has shown different, you know, races and colors and cultures doing the violence, but they do focus more on us when it does come to the violence and it comes to the destruction and stuff like that. Yes, there may be other people doing it, but everything we do is a problem. Everything we do, we can cross the street, it's a problem, you know. So
they'll notice me jaywalking before they notice certain
Exactly. You know what I mean? So we can do it smarter. We have to come together and not be afraid. There's a lot of fear also instilled in us as well. You know, when we do stand up for ourselves, there's a lot of fear that comes against us. And I think that that's what a lot of people are afraid of with the pandemic as well. It's like, oh, don't go close to anybody. Now we can't protest. You know what I mean? $6,000 of a fine if you protest. It's just all fear all in one. So there has to be ways we can still fight. And I do believe anything is possible, but it takes time as well, right? Time and effort for sure.
Yeah. But one thing we don't have to fight about is access to cannabis. How long have you been using cannabis? Because you don't really smoke, but did you smoke periodically before?
I did when I was in my 20s. I did smoke more. I would say since I'm about 20 years old, so that takes about 10 years. Yeah. I did a little bit in high school too, but I don't really count that because it wasn't a lot, but about 10 years. I've never really been like a joint, you know what I mean? Like I can't really smoke because it makes me hallucinate. It's not for my body, but I've always had it mixed into things, and that has been fine for me. Like it's worked for me. So it's been about 10 years on and off, I can say.
Okay, and you are joining us from Montreal, which is a different province from me.
Yes.
And I've not been living there for, 30 years now? No, 25 years.
Woo!
26
okay.
years I've been away.
Okay.
So, what's it like being, what's the legal cannabis scene like in Quebec, in Montreal?
We have the SQDC out here, which is known as the weed store, but it is government owned. Yeah. When you do go in there, you do have to show your ID. They do take your information as well. And you basically do get everything that you need. However, it's all from the government. So they do have everything from chocolates to lollipops to, oils, everything you need. But you have to remember your name is registered and it's government owned. That's how it is. So
your name is registered just to walk in?
When you go in there, you need your ID when you're buying. Absolutely.
Okay, but isn't it just to check your ID? They scan it?
They register it in the system.
Okay.
Yeah.
My privacy radar is ringing off the chains at that.
Absolutely.
Just because, yes, one of the biggest directives in the Cannabis Act in Canada is to keep it away from children. You don't need to register people's private information to do that.
I agree, but they do. They're like, oh, can we have your ID? Yee, why do you need my ID for? You know what I mean? But yeah, they do register it. They put it in the computer. They definitely do. Mm-hmm.
I am stunned. Now, how many locations would you say there are? Like, are there a lot of these SDCQ?
I would think there's about, from what I only know of 2. But I'm sure there's more of that. I'm sure there's more. I don't know how many exactly, but I only know of 2. There's one downtown Montreal and there's one in the South Shore of Montreal. So
servicing everybody?
Yeah.
And do they have a delivery option or?
That I don't know. You know what? I can actually look it up as I talk to you. Hold on. Let me see. Let's see if they have a delivery option. Yes, they do. Oh my God, that's true. One of my good friends. Yes, I can say that off the bat of my head. They actually do.
Okay.
They actually do have a delivery service because I remember somebody got it delivered to their house. They do have a delivery service, but it is a little bit more expensive because, of course, the government needs to make money. So,
but Miss Trish, I'm still wrapping. What's the population for our listeners of Montreal that you can say off the top of your head?
Population Montreal listeners, maybe about 100. I would give us a nice round figure of 100.
No, but I meant how many? What's the population of the city of Montreal and surrounding area?
Population of Montreal. That I don't know off the top of my head either, and I don't want to give bad facts.
No problem. I used to be able to say that, Toronto was like 2.5 million just because they'd have
it. Probably does have that much people.
But that's just Toronto and not all the surrounding areas. Mississauga is like close to 1 million on top of that.
They're their own city in a sense. They have like
and Brampton and all them. So, but I'm just for our listeners, the reason why I'm asking is because it feels like everybody is woefully underserved by having just 2 locations for cannabis dispensaries.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna tell you the number that Google popped up with, and it's 4,221,000 people. That is how the population of Montreal 2020. That is what I popped in, and let's just see how many SQDCs there are. So because I don't want to give the wrong info. Montreal. So there's one in Chateauguay, Queen Mary, Gatineau, St. Catherine, des Sources, Sherbrooke, Brossard. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 of them.
And
that came up as
wow. That feels like it's really underserving.
I think so too.
Population.
I think so too. And then you have to line up to get in there as well. And I believe that's pre-COVID. That's also pre-COVID. Let me let you know. Because at some point when the SQDC first opened up, from what I understand, they were only opened on the weekends. So that's why the lines were nuts like that. Absolutely. I used to work downtown Montreal, and I used to take a browse, walk all the way from my workplace all the way to Atwater just to have a nice summer walk. And every time I would walk by the SQDC, there would be a line, and I'm like, yo, what is everybody lining up for? Then I realized that's what it was. The line. Seriously, sis, it was literally like around the bend. Like,
I saw that last year when I was down there in summer. Now, aesthetically, what do these stores look like? Because if it's what I saw, it looked like an industrial location. It did not look like an SAQ store that you'd go in and buy, like with glass or display. Like just from the outside, it looked like especially with the people lined up, it almost looked like people were lining up to go and collect something.
The one that is downtown is actually pretty high class. There's glass there. You know what I'm saying? It's downtown. So they had to make it away. You know what I mean? The one that I saw in the South Shore, it looked small. I didn't go inside, but from the outside, it looked quite small. And I guess, I don't know what the inside looked like, but it just looked smaller than the one downtown for sure. But the one downtown is quite eloquent. The way that they built it, I'm like, oh, okay. It's very nicely put together. They have to appeal to the downtown.
So there is an appeal to downtown, like.
Yeah, absolutely. There's an appeal to the downtown one, but remember, it's downtown. They have to appeal to downtown because that's where the money is, right?
And people are willingly standing in line too to go in?
Oh my gosh, yes. I remember going up and down St. Catherine. People are standing in line around the bend. I thought they were lining up for H&M because it's so close to H&M as well. Any of the Montrealers listening, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's so close to the H&M, or Forever 21 is across the street or whatever. I thought it was a new store. I thought a Nike shoe came out. The way that people were lined up, sis, I was just like, snap, dang, okay, pre-COVID. So yeah.
Now, as a cannabis consumer, does seeing that make you want to purchase cannabis from them?
Hell no. No.
I can't see it making me want to either. First of all, I do not have patience for lines. I think I lost patience for them sometime around 40. I don't line up for anything unless it's for the 5 minutes that I'm waiting to show someone my ticket into something. Like I don't do lineups.
So I don't lines either. I don't see the point in lines.
I remember I was trying to go to a person's outdoor birthday in a park in August when, things were still a little bit more safer.
Right.
And Natalie and I tried to visit Ganjika House in Brampton.
Oh, okay.
And I was impressed that it was like its own store with easy parking. Like it looked like maybe someone had bought an old Harvey's or something and converted it.
Okay.
In just that type of strip mall area. But when it's got its own structure.
Yes.
As I pulled up, I saw the line outside and around the building. I turned around and it was like, no weed today from these guys.
I don't blame you. Nothing is that serious. I'm going to tell you a little story about a line as well that I turned back from. When I used to live in Toronto, I used to live in Scarborough. Hey, Scarborough, pick up all my Scarborough people. I used to live in Scarborough, right? And I used to live close to Orton Park. That's not where I ended off. But anyway, there used to be a place called Chicken Joy. All of my people in Scarborough, there used to be a place called Chicken Joy, okay? Right on Kingston Road. I believe it was Kingston, and I'm going to say like Lawrence or whatever.
Morningside, and it's right the same plaza that has had the Jerk King, which is no longer.
Yes, thank you, Keisha. Okay, there you go. So
Jerk King did not survive COVID, my dear. And they had the best jerk pork in the city. We need a moment of silence for that.
So bad. COVID, man. Anywho.
Yes. Sorry. Let's go back. Yes.
My brother was down in the city, that time, and I wanted to show him around, and I was like, oh, Chicken Joy is dope. Let's go there. Sis, people had their face like pressed up against the glass, waiting for chicken on a Friday night. I said, hell no, I am not. Here's what we're not doing. We're not having Chicken Joy tonight. I was like, is this a line? Like, the people were outside, pressed up, this, that, arguing because the line's so long. I said, you know what? It is not that serious for me. We're going to order a Popeyes and keep it moving. Like, it was so bad. I don't do lines. I am with you. I do not do lines. Let me tell you. Nope.
Which brings me though. So we're talking now, just to remind our listeners, because we can be focused. We're talking about lineups outside of cannabis, adult use recreational cannabis dispensaries in two major cities. Yeah. Now, I want to remind you, the Cannabis Act has these mandates, which, was the framework as to why they would, accept legalization, the framework for legalization of cannabis. One priority was to keep it away from children. The other was to basically destroy the illicit market, right? They want to get rid of the illicit market, organized crime, and all that.
Right.
How is anybody going to give up their weed man to stand in line outside a building?
Let's be real, right? Like, how is anybody going to do that? Some people have resorted to growing their own stuff, which I don't even blame them. I don't even blame them. Nobody wants to stand in a line. It's that the weed man, you give him a whatever, and that's it. You guys are gone. It takes 2 seconds. You're not even friends with the guy. He just supplies when he needs to supply, and that's it. It's 2 seconds. A line? No, that's not cool. No one's going to want to do that. I'm sorry.
Right. So, and that's why I brought it up, because that's two ways, at least in the Montreal and surrounding area, they are totally not operating in the spirit of what the Cannabis Act was meant to do,
Right. Exactly.
And I still cannot emphasize how violating it feels to hear that they scan your ID and actually log it. Because I remember in our group, early discussions about the Ontario Cannabis Store, OCS, people said they were reluctant to order because they were worried that it kept their information. And it's like, well, why? What did they gain by doing that?
Right, exactly.
So I don't know. I wonder why they do that in Quebec.
I don't know why they do. Quebec, our laws are very different for a lot of things,
Well, you have an entirely different legal system, the Quebec Civil Code, just to let everybody know. That's whereas the rest of Canada is common law. They're common law provinces. So that's part of the problem.
I can ask you something too, if you don't mind. Yeah. You feel like living in Ontario, are you like laughing at Quebec? Or not laughing, but are you almost like, geez Louise, Quebec, what are you guys doing? Because we're in the midst of a pandemic, as you know. We're also currently focused on keeping the French language.
Yeah.
Give me a break. So I just want to know, like, even with that, with the OCS, whatever, and how you guys handle your cannabis laws, do you feel like, geez Louise, Quebec, get on board and stop?
I do, and I feel that passionately. Like, my advocacy side is triggered by it, because cannabis should be available to everyone who wants it, and especially everybody who needs it. Every adult who needs it should be able to access it. But we see day to day with even questions in topics that come up in our group, which, by the way, we're at 450 members, and a lot of them are from Quebec, from the Montreal area.
I've noticed that.
They don't have ready access to the same supports, the educational supports we have up here in Ontario. They don't have access to the same type of store infrastructure. When the Cannabis Act was passed, one of the things they established federally was the right for individuals to grow 4 plants per household. Only two provinces fought against that. And one of them all the way to the Supreme Court. Do you know which province that is?
Quebec, and what's the other one?
The other one was Manitoba, but Quebec took it to is taking it further, and they took it all the way, basically. They really did not want their own citizens to be able to grow their own cannabis.
Oh, my mercy.
Recreationally.
That is disgusting. Wow, what a shame. We focus on the wrong things out here. There's so many more important things because cannabis saves lives. I don't care what anybody says, and I don't care how anybody feels about that. Cannabis saves lives. It really does. And when you use it correctly, when you use it, you know what I mean, for certain sicknesses, Parkinson's disease, migraines, you know, there's cannabis bombs that you could put on your head to take away a migraine, which I've used as well. You know what I mean? Things like that. It relaxes your whole nervous system, your whole body, instead of a pill that makes you vomit and has a million side effects, you know? We're just concerned, it seems like, the province of Quebec about money instead of people's health. And it's the saddest thing that we're like discovered this year. We're only concerned about money. And it's like, no, people are like dying because of there's so many pills that we are plugging our people with instead of natural things like cannabis. Like, I don't get it. And some people, you know, like my mom, you know, unfortunately my mom's unable to walk. So let's just say she needed cannabis and stuff like that. Well, what'd she have to do? Wait in the line? You know what I mean? Pay $20 for a delivery fee. She's on a pension. Come on. They don't consider certain things especially when it comes to our elderly.
Sorry, I just caught $20 delivery fee. Is that what they charge?
About that, yeah.
Okay, in Ontario, the Ontario Cannabis Store charges $5.
Yeah, so I've seen a $20 delivery fee before.
Yeah.
It wasn't a delivery of my own. It was one of my friends, but it was,
but like, again, it's the inequity of access. It gets my goat, and I would love to, I know I've connected with some people in the medical cannabis field in Quebec through Education and other organizations like, you know, the People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada. So I hope when we start looking at the different advocacy angles and projects that we advance as a group, that one of them is about the equity of access in provinces like Quebec.
And I also hope too, like, you know, in the future, Kay, that you and I can link and do an event in public, not virtual. You know what I mean? In public, not virtual. You can like talk about the, you know, the effects of cannabis, me too. And I I'm the self-love person, so we can put it together, sis, because I think that we can educate so many people on this. Like me being a non-smoker, but I take it in other ways. You being a smoker, you know how it feels. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's not everyone's comfortable with, you know, like smoking, like me or whatever, but then some people are, you know. So I think that we have a platform here where we can educate so many people. Like,
and we need to. And you know what? If not us, who?
Right.
Nobody else is doing it. Nobody else in the cannabis industry is trying to educate Black women about cannabis.
Right.
Nobody, so I totally agree, and I'm definitely on board. I see a lot of ways we could synergize our efforts, because I'm all about, you know, everybody winning. So definitely I'd love for us to do that.
We're going to do it.
I really appreciate talking to you today, and your enthusiasm and passion behind everything. Tell everybody more about your website, because I didn't really even get a chance to plug that. Tell everybody, you are a blogger.
I am a blogger. I'm an author. I made a film about mental health in the Black community, which I have to send to you. Definitely did that. I'm working on my second documentary, which is also geared to that. And then I'm also doing something about Black women in the office, being a Black woman in the office. So I like to touch on those subjects because I feel like we haven't touched on them. My website, you know, as much as I love everyone, the models that I use for my t-shirts, they are all melanated because there's not enough of that. Yes. So I put that out there. So that's Tees by Miss Trish. I also have some mugs on there. Actually, the audience can't see, but some of them are with me. You know what I mean? They're all positive, you know, I can and I will. And you know what I mean? And I like to push self-love because I feel like that is where everything starts, you know, everything's a choice and everything starts with self-love. And I'm happy to have discovered that in the weirdest way possible, by hurt, you know what I mean? But it was okay because it was a lesson and I have to be grateful for that lesson. So I feel like I know there's a lot of men and women in my position who are probably breaking their own hearts trying to like love too much, you know what I mean? Or are missing love for themselves. And I just want to be the person to say, no, you got to love yourself first in order to progress to everything else. So that's basically what my website is all about. And on there too, you'll see my weekly episode of Coffee Chronicles, which I really want you to do with me too.
Yes,
so,
they're 1-minute chronicles, right? They're perfect little 1-minute chronicles.
They're perfect little 1-minute stuff. And sometimes the videos go a little bit longer, but I just talk about like life and things that people can relate to, because, sometimes it's hard for people to have an outlet. So I want people to relate to what I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's all fun. It's not personal. It's never to target anybody. It's just all entertainment, because we need that, especially now. We need, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Now we need that. So that is what my website all about self-love, all about entertainment and fun. And yeah, I enjoy doing it very much. It's near and dear to my heart for sure.
Well, what's on the horizon for 2021 for Miss Trish?
2021. So like I said, I'm going to produce my other documentary, which is geared towards mental health in the Black community. Once more, it will be a part 2. Thank you. The first one is used in a clinical study right now at the Jewish General Hospital. So they're using it for that. They've asked me for another one. So I'm going to improve on my skills, sound skills, lighting skills, all that stuff. That first documentary, I did it all by myself. And from that, again, a lot to learn. So I'm pushing towards that. Then I'm going to do the second one, which is being a Black woman in the office. I think that's something that we need to speak about as well. But I have to do that in animated form, Kadisha, because a lot of Black women are still scared to speak about being Black in the office, sadly. I have a lot of submissions from stories and things like that. And in that, like in the submission form, I asked, would you like to be anonymous or would you like me to show your face? Everyone asked to be anonymous because they still fear certain repercussions from their jobs, but it's okay. I'm going to do it in an animated phase where we talk about touching of the hair, where we talk about, certain comments that are made. So we are shining light on melanated communities everywhere in the Miss Trish game for 2021. Absolutely everywhere.
That sounds amazing. And you definitely hit on a point with the Black women in the office, because Black women in the office are very reluctant to even discuss their cannabis use. There are a lot of Black women I know who have even said in my DMs, I'd love to join your group, but I'm worried somebody will know.
Yes.
The stigma associated with cannabis use in the Black community sometimes feels stronger because of our perception of it. And I get why. We were the ones racially targeted and discriminated for it, but it makes our work extra harder to connect people to this beautiful plant.
Exactly, to know that it's okay, literally, that it's okay. And it's sad that you have melanated women coming to you saying, I can't be a part of your group because my work's going to see. What? You know what I mean? So you can't be who you are outside of work? Like, that's the thing. And this is what we need to shine light on, and this is what my aim is to do for 2021. I'm just shining light on some issues that need to be talked about. That's what I'm doing for 2021.
Well, wherever I can help you or connect you with resources that can help you, please let me know.
I will, for sure.
We've been doing our mental health check-ins every Wednesday in Afro-Canada Bud Sisters over Zoom for the last, I want to say, 6 weeks.
Okay.
So definitely, you may want to come in on one of those, because
I do. I would. What time do those happen?
They're usually around 9 o'clock at night now.
Yeah, I could do that. Okay. I will check in on one of those for sure.
Well, I want to give you a chance to tell our audience a final time where they can find you on social media, because you've been sharing so much of yourself, and I want to make sure they know where to find you after our taping.
Thank you. Okay, so mainly you can find me on Instagram. I am all things Miss Trish, just how it sounds, all things Miss Trish. And also you can also check out my website, which is www.allthingsmisstrish.com, which is also plugged on my Instagram. And lastly, I do some YouTube videos as well. And that is my name once more, which is only Miss Trish TV, because it's like, I couldn't pick all things Miss Trish. Unfortunately, somebody has it. So,
the audacity.
I know, but Miss Trish, I do more story times on there. So you'll find out more crazy shit that I've been through if you go on my YouTube channel. And it's, again, just to resonate with the audience. It's nothing too serious and things like that. But, it's just to encourage, I've gone through this too. I don't have things all together like everybody, may percept, but I don't. So check it all out. I love everyone, talking to everyone, reaching out to me. It's really cool. And I don't bite. So ask me anything. The only thing I could say nicely to all the gentlemen out there, I'm not interested because I'm just focused on myself. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be in it or that, but I'm just not interested. It's not that I have anybody, I'm just not interested, you know? So if you guys want to reach out, talk about anything, I am here. I'm the self-love person. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Trish, for sharing with us today. I really loved our chat today. I really love that we got a chance to, I was waiting for us to have an opportunity to talk together, and I'm glad we got to do this today, and I really see future pairings of us in the future. So thanks again. Well, stay lifted, sis.
You too, love.
You've been listening to the MsWeedWiki podcast, and we thank you for your support.
I've been falling higher while I'm holding on, 'cause I've been wanting more than I can even handle. I've been holding, trying to keep my head on track, 'cause I've been falling higher. I went out, I had to go away. Oh, I know. Leaning, then it shouldn't be the same. Fall down low. Can't move, so I gotta break away. Oh, I've known nothing but trust, don't never wanna wait. Oh, I know. Oh, I know. I've been falling higher while I'm holding on, 'cause I've been wanting more than I can even handle. I've been floating, trying to keep my head on track, 'cause I've been falling higher. I've been holding out in case of phase. Some things out they make me misbehave. I'll say some words will make me run all out of place.